Hi, welcome to Unique Parenting. I am B. Moyes, and today I want to talk about the difference between discipline and punishment. Now, those two things are very different, yet often confused. Sometimes a parent doesn't understand that they're punishing and they really feel like they're disciplining. And other times, parents feel like, is this discipline a punishment? So we use them interchangeably a lot as parents, but really they're two completely different things. To break it down to its most common denominator, discipline is a very good thing. Discipline is needed, it's helpful, it's beneficial. It is something that children thrive from receiving consistently. While punishment, on the other hand, is a bad thing because it does not help or further reinforces what you're trying to do. So, really, to break it down to that, it's basically discipline is good and punishment is bad. Are there any cases where punishment might be good? I'm pretty sure they are. I don't know of any in terms of parenting, but what might be considered a punishment, it really might be a discipline. Like a firm discipline may look like a punishment, especially if the child is saying, "You're punishing me, and why are you doing this to me?" And it seems as if it's bad. But in actuality, a well thought out discipline may appear to be like a punishment to a child, but in reality, it isn't. It's just really good parenting and good discipline. So let's get into it. Let's talk about why is one good and why is the other one bad. Discipline has pretty clear objectives, and it is when it's done correctly, it guides. It is okay to do. It is objective and it gives proper direction. So it guides children to help them, learn their natural consequences of their bad behaviors. It gives limitations and expectations to what to be expected and what to know and what not and what you should not do. And it gives you an alternative to what else you can do. You have to replace a bad behavior with a good behavior. So that's the guiding part. Discipline is okay. There is nothing wrong with disciplining your child, even if the child perceives that discipline is unreasonable or unjust or not fair. It's not a bad thing. It is okay. It is a reasonable approach to parenting, and it's both helpful to parent and the child. So it's good for both individuals. It is more likely to help your child grow and learn from their past mistakes and their current negative behavior. So again, it's a good thing. It provides boundaries. It lets your child know how far they can go and how they can come back and recover from that. It creates a positive association with, you know what, it's okay if I get a consequence for my bad behavior. It is something that helps children grow developmentally. So again, discipline is good. Discipline objective is to be a teaching tool. It's supposed to help children learn from previously past experiences. It's supposed to be a conversation going back and forth, like, hey, you did this, let's talk about it and let's talk how we can improve on it next time and how to do things differently. It is not this punitive ideology of just punishing the child for every single thing without having their feedback or even a conversation with them about what happened and what went on. So again, it's a back and forth. It trains your child to be cooperative in their whole learning environment in terms of how they develop. So it's basically going back and forth again, that communication with, hey, this is what happened and this is how we can learn from it. It gives directions, clear directions to a child because it teaches them how to respect themselves as well as others, how to maintain self-control, how to be responsible, how to make good choices, and how to act appropriately in not so great situations and bad settings. Kids are going to make mistakes. They're designed that way. They're supposed to make mistakes. So we need to give them an opportunity to make those mistakes and then have a conversation of how to learn. If a child makes a mistake or an error the first time and they're punished for it, they're less likely to come to you again than they are to not repeat that mistake. They're going to repeat it again and again, but they just get better at hiding it from you. So they didn't really learn how to change that behavior or how to recover from it. So that's why discipline is good. And those are the positive things associated with discipline. Punishment is, it's just bad. It creates a bridge between the parent and the child, and it is usually done out of anger. I mean, let's think about whenever you were punished as a child. Was your parent cool, calm, and collected, or were they angry? Usually, punishment is an emotional response to an emotional trigger. It's not done out of discipline. It is not done because you want to correct the behavior or do any type of teaching. It is just simply, I'm upset and I'm angry, so I'm going to respond this way. So it's dangerous. It's bad. It creates a bridge. The more you punish, the less the child share. And it's that simple. And if you want to have an open dialogue and a back and forth conversation and relationship with your child, continuously punishing them will not get that point across. And honestly, that's not what you want, because the more you punish, the bigger the gap and the harder it is to close. So the information highway does not, from the parent to the child is never that clear. So it's just a bridge that you do not want to start to build. Again, it's done out of anger. It is a dysfunctional pattern of communication. It's an emotional response. You're punishing because, again, a trigger was set off. So now you're responding out of that. It is not something that is productive. It just validates fear in children, fear of parents, fear of telling the truth, fear of making mistakes, and fear of being honest. So it's not a good thing. It's Punishment usually takes a form of control from the parent, trying to control the child's behavior or temperament or personality or whatever it may be. But again, the more you try to control someone, the less power that you do have and the less control you have. And it's done, coercion or fear or anything like that. So it's not beneficial. It elicits anger, resentment, and eventually deceit from the child. Again, the child will just learn to keep things away from you, keep information away, and not come to you. And it impairs the communication between the parent and the child. So it temporarily, it will stop the behavior. And when I say temporarily, probably a day or two. But it's not, the child's not thinking, oh man, how can I do something differently next time? They're really thinking, how can I avoid the punishment? Not the action that got them the punishment, but basically the response to the action. So really, discipline, when done correctly, is extremely effective. It's very effective. It creates a good communication pattern between you and your child. It is something that is continuous. How you disciplined at 2 is not how you're going to discipline at 10 or 14 or 16. Developmentally, discipline should evolve. You should not be using the same form of discipline. And as children get older, their discipline decrease, because at some point you do have to allow children to make certain types of mistakes, just so they can know what not to do, so they can know what to do in certain situations. So discipline evolves, it changes. And even if you're a parent of an older child and you're thinking, man, you should know better, just keep in mind that the frontal lobe is still not fully developed and that child is still not capable of seeing tomorrow. So they're still going to continue to make mistakes and still make some bad choices, but they can come to you. If you've been disciplining effectively, communicating greatly, talking effectively, whatever mistake or whatever it is that they fall into, they will come back to you about it, and then you guys can have a conversation and how to move forward. So discipline, when done correctly, it's a beautiful thing. Children welcome discipline. They need discipline. They love discipline. And it can be an extremely fulfilling part of parenting, where you don't feel guilty or bad that you had to take away electronic time or decrease that amount because the child did something. Again, that's part of discipline. Punishment would be you're eliminating this thing all in general. Like, you will never get this thing again, where there was no learning opportunity or there was no conversation before that. Discipline is usually a conversation ahead of time, or if you do this, then this will happen. That's discipline. If you come home late, you will lose your phone. That's discipline. Punishment is no conversation of that was ever had, and the child came home late, you've lost your phone. There is a huge disconnect, because the child may feel like, I didn't get any warning. I didn't even know that was going to happen. And as a parent, you may be thinking, why didn't you know that? It's common sense. Sometimes it's not. It's not common sense. And you have to keep talking and communicating with your kid consistently so you know what they know and they know what your expectations are. So, those are the difference between discipline and punishment. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy your unique parenting journey with your unique child.